Fuck it.
Fuck it. Fuck it.
Hey mama, if you are a mom and are tired of the wash, rinse, repeat burnout cycle of motherhood, this podcast is for you. If you feel lonely and isolated in your motherhood journey, this podcast is for you. If you feel like you have completely lost your identity since your babies were born, this podcast is for you. If you feel like every other mom has it together except for you, this podcast is for you. My name is Amanda, and I'm a life coach dedicated to teaching every mom the tools she needs to liberate herself off the back burner. I am living proof that a woman can be present and loving to her kids while also being a whole-ass person outside of being that kid's mom. The secret? Learning when to say fuck it.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Fuck It Mothering. I'm your host, Amanda Haro, and I'm so happy that you're here with me. Oh my God, I had a surgery. I almost called it a procedure again. I had a surgery this Monday from when I'm recording this. This is Saturday when I'm recording this message for you guys. And I had a surgery on Monday, which is why this episode is a week late. Just to put it out there, that's why. Not the surgery's fault. It's 100% me. Like, I am the problem. I just didn't I didn't get it done. I didn't get the editing done in advance before my surgery. And also in true Amanda fashion, I completely underestimated my recovery process, which is like the most Amanda thing that I think I've ever done outside of insisting on calling it a procedure and not a surgery. Oh my God. I'm fine. Like, there's nothing seriously wrong. I'm totally fine. But it's crazy that the surgeries that are outpatient surgeries now, that would have been, you have to stay at the hospital for a couple of nights. But with the robotic surgeries and stuff, they just whip us out like just on a conveyor belt, just bloop, 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 just cutting body parts out, stitching stuff up, just bam, bam, bam. It's fucking nuts. A little bit crazy. But yeah, I had surgery on Monday and I'm recovering. I'm recovering perfectly fine. My voice is a little nasally right now. I'm not sick. I ran out of one of my prescription medications for my allergies and didn't ask for help. That's what this boils down to. This is me, a life coach who still has problem at asking for help. I'm aware of this. I'm working on it slowly but surely. I didn't ask for help from anyone picking it up. I was like, it's not a big deal. If I miss a couple days, I'll go pick it up when I'm able to drive and stuff. And then yesterday was the first day. So Friday was the first day I left the house. I took myself to the movies because Deadpool and Wolverine came out. And oh my God, so good. So good. But I was in pain. So I was like, I don't want to go to Target and pick up my prescription. I'll do it tomorrow. Fucking regret that choice. Okay. Let's just put that out there. I fucking regret that choice hardcore because I can't stop sneezing now. Today, I can't stop sneezing and it hurts so bad. I had a hernia repair. I had an umbilical hernia because I had so many kids back to back, like just so close together. 4 kids, just bam, 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 bam. And yeah, I've had an umbilical hernia for at least 7 years, if not longer. And it was just something that I was like living with because it wasn't terrible, but it started getting like more annoying. So I was like, let's go and fix this. But I can't bend over and it hurts. I don't want to talk about it too much because if I think about it too much, I will like freak out about what happened. I don't do well with this stuff if you guys can't tell. Ow, laughing hurts too. But sneezing, oh my God, sneezing hurts so much. And I have like the belly binder on and I keep holding my stomach super tight. And I'm like, please hold, don't rip because I'm not doing this again. If you rip, I'm not doing this again at all. Never again. So when I'm done recording this intro, and patching it into my full episode. Once the episode is like in the exporting phase, I'm going to just go run to Target, pick up my allergy medication so I can stop sneezing because I don't want this hernia repair to rip. Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's been interesting, like taking care of myself because I'm single. If you're new around here, welcome. I'm an intentional single mom of 4. And yes, I chose this. Okay, fine. But still, it's difficult it's just different challenges when you have something medically come up and you live alone. And there was like some thoughts I had to work through that came up when I needed to start getting a ride. There's like a shuttle service for the surgery center, but I didn't qualify because I was just outside of whatever. I didn't qualify. So then I had to start asking people for a help, which is hard for me. I understand the irony of being a life coach who struggles asking for help. But that makes me the perfect life coach to help you guys because I totally understand how hard it is to ask for help because I'm right there with you. But just navigating that and navigating, preparing for being by myself when I knew I was going to have to take it easy, even though in my mind I was like, I'll probably be fine in a couple days. I wasn't. I didn't do anything this week. And then having to work through those thoughts of feeling lazy because I was just, my brain is so ridiculous, guys. Like literally, I was thinking like, well, I didn't need to have this done. Like I was okay. I could have just like continued being okay. I didn't have to have this done. And now I'm taking a week off of my business and I'm in a lot of pain and I can't sleep because I'm a side sleeper. And last night, so Friday night was the first night I was able to actually sleep on my side. It was still uncomfortable, but it was like doable. But I had to sleep on my back this whole week because of this hernia repair. And just being like, damn it, Amanda, like, why did we do this? But good grief. It's totally okay to take care of a fucking hernia, even if like the symptoms of it weren't that bad. It doesn't make me a bad person or selfish or like I made a bad call by taking care of it now. My brain is ridiculous. So I hope that makes you feel better. Like I work on my thoughts all the time. I help other people work on their thoughts. Literally, like I'm in this like thought work, like mode and little bubble and life and stuff all the time. I still struggle with my brain. My brain is still a brain. My brain is still braining. So your brain is not broken. It's okay. But it was interesting working through all this stuff. And interesting just to see the things that still come up for me around resting. Because I had a fucking surgery. Like, can I please just calm my tits? Can I please just stop giving myself such a hard time? The work never really ends, guys. And that is a horrible thing for me to say in a sales perspective, right? But it's just me being honest. The work never really ends. You work on things. The work never ends. The healing never ends. You work on it, you heal, and then you find a new layer. Or some things still come up. But now I have tools to not like believe those things, right? I have tools so that I don't sit and spin out and give myself a panic attack for resting from this surgery that I, quote, didn't need to have. So stupid. It's okay to fix a hole in your body that doesn't belong there. That's what I've been up to this week. My kids were with their dad and they were like on vacation. So usually I still see them throughout the week when they're with their dad, because usually there's some sort of dance, something going on. And he and I will share taxi responsibilities and duties, regardless of who the kids are with, for 2 reasons: to help alleviate that stress from like the parent who's quote on that week. And also to give the other parent a chance to see the kids throughout the week, because a week is a really long time to go without seeing your kids. But they're on vacation. So like I haven't seen them all week and I miss them so much. It was perfect timing that the surgery was able to fall on this week and at the beginning of this week too. So I'd had this week where I really truly had no obligations whatsoever, other than the ones that my stupid brain was trying to like force on me. So I've just been taking care of myself and resting, doing a bad job at resting and, loving myself through it and changing my thoughts and journaling and watching tarot card readings and watching movies and doing a little bit of reading, not too much reading because I was just really tired because my body got cut into and it needed to like rest or something. But I'm so excited to share this episode with you guys, with me and Dr. Wendy. I'm sorry that it wasn't on or out. I'm sorry it wasn't out last week when it was supposed to be, but I'm human. I've done such a good job this year of keeping up with my podcasts and like looking ahead at, like when I was in nationals with the girls for dance last month, pre-planning and pre-doing all these episodes and stuff. So that way they still were scheduled out. I'm so proud of me as a podcaster this year. I've grown so much. Like once I came back to the podcast this year, I've been back. So yes, I missed this last week and I'm going to be okay with that because I'm human and there's just going to be times where like, oops, didn't plan perfectly this time. And that's okay. But oh my gosh, Dr. Wendy is such a beautiful human. I really loved our conversation because she had such a unique like motherhood experience. She had her first daughter. And then when her first daughter was like 6 or 8 months or something, she got pregnant with twins unexpectedly. So she had 3 under 2 and just like, how do you adjust to that? And they're all girls. So we share that in common, just being girl moms. I absolutely adore her and I can't wait for you guys to hear this conversation. So please let me know what you think in the review section of Apple Podcasts or in the new comment section of Spotify. I don't know if you guys know, they just released that like thing in their platform because those things really help the algorithm. Like it's very difficult to be an entrepreneur speaking about things like women's empowerment and intentional single motherhood and peaceful co-parenting. And you can be a whole ass person and still be a really great mom. All of those non-traditional things. And to actually get it out there into the world. Because the algorithm, it's not designed to like really promote that kind of thing. And so when you guys go out of your way to comment, to share, to talk to other people about this podcast and my work, my God, thank you so much because I truly would not be here without you. And as my way of saying thank you, when you leave a review in the Apple Podcasts or a comment in the Spotify section for comments, you'll get entered into my monthly Starbucks and book raffle. So every month I pick a winner and you'll receive one of my favorite books that changed my life or just like a really good read that I think you'll enjoy and a Starbucks gift card as a thank you. But please leave either your email address or your Instagram handle in the comment or the review so that way I can get in touch with you. I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic week and I will see you tomorrow. I almost forgot for Fuck It Friday. Our 4th Fuck It Friday episode is going to be released tomorrow. So make sure to come back for that. It's a good one. I mean, they're all good ones. This one is titled, I chose this. Just a play on that whole narrative that says that moms aren't allowed to complain about like the struggles of motherhood because we chose to be moms, fuck that. Come back tomorrow and listen to that gem. I love you guys, and I'll see you later. My children hopefully will not interrupt, but if they do, I apologize.
Don't apologize to me. My husband took the 3 girls to his office in Boston today. He's like, I'm just going to take them out of your hands. I'm just going to get them in. I was like, you're taking our 3 children to your office. Good luck. I love you. Goodbye.
What does he do?
He's a senior vice president for the engineering team of a startup in Cambridge. But they have this massive office, like thousands of square feet. And so there's rooms like the kids can have snacks and hang out and iPad and whatever. But I'm like, he is very brave. I could not take all 3 kids to an office expecting that I'll be able to be on my calls all day long. So he's a brave soul.
Yes, that's awesome that he did that for you. When I was still working outside of the house, there were some days where I had to bring some of the children with me because I had like my own office, and it was a pretty big office. So there was space for them. I brought like bean bags and threw them in the back of my office, and like I got work done, but it's a different experience when you have your children there with you, like in that space. Yeah.
It really is. That's funny you said that, because his CEO was just like, oh, you should bring, like what I did with my kids. I used to bring a tent, and I put the tent in my office, and they'd hang out in the tent and play. And I was like, okay. Like, I was like, did you bring the tent? He's like, I forgot the tent. So I know. So
that's such a great idea too, though.
It was a great idea. I was like, that's really funny. Okay, good idea. Noted.
Yeah. Just, adults just getting it done. Like this is a tangent before we've even begun, but I really love hearing stories of workplaces being lenient like that for people who have children.
Yes.
Because the whole like complete work-life separation, it simply does not work.
It's not a thing.
No.
It's not a thing. No, agree. So yeah, I feel the same way. It's like whenever you hear about like the workplace just being like, of course, like do what you need to do. Like as long as you get your work done, who cares? That's the energy we want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. All right. So we will officially get started. All right. Welcome to another episode of Fuck It Mothering. I'm your host, Amanda Haro, and I have another great guest for you guys. I'm so excited for this conversation, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Well, I just can't even stand your intro. It's the best ever. It is literally so refreshing. Like, it's not like, welcome to the best parenting in the world. Like, here, I'm your host. You're like, fuck it. It's just the best start to any podcast I've ever been on. So there is that. I am Dr. Wendy O'Connor. I am a positive psychologist and success coach for female entrepreneurs. I'm also a mother of 3 girls. So I got very excited to be here and share this space with you today, because I just know it's going to be a super fun conversation that's just real and raw and hilarious. So thank you.
Yes. I love that you are a fellow girl mom.
That's right.
Yes. All the estrogen. It's all the estrogen club, I feel.
Except for our like one animal in the house that's a house rabbit, and he's the boy. So my husband at least has one boy, but it's a rabbit, so it's not very helpful.
We also have one boy too. I have a dog, and his name is Chewbacca. And I've had him, I got him when I was pregnant with my first. So he was kind of like my first baby. And he is, as I refer to him, the only male who has made every single cut in the last 14 years of my life.
Well, that's commitment right there.
Right?
Wow. I love that. I do joke about that as well. I'm like, I'm a commitment phobe. Somehow I'm married 14 years, but typically I'm a commitment phobe. Like, don't expect me to commit to anything, but somehow I'm still here with my husband and family. So Chewbacca made the cut.
He has consistently made every single cut. This is true love.
That is true love. Yay.
Oh my goodness. So tell us more about how I'm going back and forth on whether I want to hear more about like your motherhood journey or your professional journey. I'm going to go with motherhood. So what was your journey to becoming a mom? Were you the type of person who like, you always knew you were going to be a mom? You always wanted that? Or did it kind of like find you?
That's a great question. I always wanted to be a mom, and I just knew I did. Like, I was babysitting since I was 11 years old. I was obsessed with my baby dolls, and they were never Barbies. Like I didn't have those dolls. I had like baby dolls that were like weighted, and I would dress them and put them in a car seat in my car, and I'd diaper them. And it was like the whole nine. Like it was like on the verge of like a little weird that Wendy would always bring this like weird looking baby doll everywhere she went. I was like, is she okay? I think I was okay. But I always knew, like, I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to be a mom. Of course, of course, of course. What I didn't know, though, was just how maternal I would be. Like, there was just part of me that's very independent, only child, like, just gets out there, does life my way, on my terms. And so this idea of all of a sudden caring for, nurturing, and being like the person who can really give of yourself to somebody else was like a question mark in my mind. And I didn't know what motherhood would look like. I just knew I wanted to be a mom, and I knew that that felt very just like intrinsic for me. But I didn't know how I'd be, what I'd be like. People would say things to me like, you're going to be the most fun mom. You're going to be so much fun. I can't believe your kids are going to be obsessed with how fun you are. It turns out I'm really not such a fun mom as people anticipated. It just did not work out quite that way. But when I had my first daughter, I actually went through a pretty rough postpartum anxiety spell. So I knew I wanted to be a mom. I'm kind of the person that's like on to step 5 before step 2 is complete. So when my husband and I moved to Rhode Island, I was like, it's probably time to buy a house. And he's like, well, we just like are getting married now. And I was like, well, that's okay, because we should probably get into the right school systems now before we have babies. And he's like, okay. So we buy this house and we end up in this 4-bedroom colonial house in the suburbs, which is quite the adjustment from where we were living in the city before. And all of a sudden we have these empty bedrooms in this house, and we're like, well, now what? And I was like, well, now I guess we better make babies like that. I think that's what we're here for. Like, we got to fill the house, right? Like, what do we do? But we had this long journey of trying to get pregnant. I mean, it wasn't as long as some, and I'm thankful for that as well, but it was about a year that we're trying, we weren't getting pregnant. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I think I put the cart before the horse. I don't think we need to be in the suburbs yet. I don't think we need to be in a house yet. Like, I'm not in the school system for at least 6 years. Who cares? But I just felt this pull to, and I think a lot of women do, this pull to move forward, this pull for the next thing. Once I had my first daughter, going from 0 to 1 was actually far harder than going from 1 to 3 in my family. Going from 0 to 1 was like shell shock. It was just having a winter baby was extremely challenging. To have a January baby, to be in this kind of big, cold, empty-ish house felt weird. For my husband to like go right back to work, to not have family close by. The whole thing just felt like, what is going on? I suddenly felt like I was in this twilight zone. It did not feel like as natural as I thought it would have felt to like have my baby and bring her home from the hospital and like snuggle her all day. There was this kind of weird experience of my adjustment that just felt more anxious, and like, I don't know if I'm the right one for her and if I can do what it takes. And like, if I remember saying, and I had a breakdown with my husband at the time, because I had these feelings, these thoughts that seemed so true, just like, she's meant for someone better than me. Like, I can't do it. Like, I'm not meant for her. And it was this really sad moment where he was, of course, like, what? Like, this makes no sense at all. Like, of course you're perfect. You're the best mom. But you know, if you've ever had any postpartum anxiety or depression, like, these thoughts just feel so true. And I felt so true that like, we got to get her a new mom. And my husband was like, I'm not getting her a new mom. But I was like, okay, then I just need to like take a nap because something's really firing in my brain.
Those are the two options. We're getting her a new mom, or I'm taking a nap.
The third option would have been eat something, I think. So it was one of those.
That sounds like about right.
Oh my God. Okay. Do I like, is the extreme the right way, or do I just need to eat or sleep?
Right.
As a new mom, you need both of those things. So
yes,
I did that. And that adjustment got better. My husband and I went through a very tough time in our marriage. The toughest was this first adjustment to parenthood. There's lots of details about that. But once my oldest, my first, turned 6 months, I got pregnant with twins. And just as we were trying to kind of come out of the darkness, literally, it's like springtime and the light.
You're pregnant again.
Now we're pregnant again.
Oh my
gosh.
And
now it's twins, which was a hysterical moment to figure out together in the doctor's office when the pictures of the ultrasound are being printed out. I felt like I was in a movie. And the doctor kept like taking them to hand them to my husband. And he just like stood there with like the blankest expression and could not even hear what we were saying because we went into the doctor's office thinking I miscarried. And the doctor's like, oh no, you didn't miscarry. You just bled because you are having twins. And he just lost his mind, and he didn't say a word for like 2 hours. It was hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Such an announcement, right? What a big day.
Right.
I immediately feared that our next segment of our journey would be the same or worse than the first, that we would struggle again, that he would struggle, that postpartum anxiety would come back. All of this all of a sudden was like not the most exciting news. I all of a sudden got really nervous. But the journey from 1 to 3 was really beautiful and so much easier and very intentional. It's almost like we knew our little things that didn't work, and we had more awareness about our process and ourselves and our relationship, and we did it differently, and it made all the difference. So ultimately, I had 3 girls under 2. And people would always ask, how do you do it? I don't understand. And you say this.
I hate that question.
It's just, I don't even mind it. It's just so much of like, what do you think my answer is? Like, I took a superhero course last month, and so now I'm perfectly certified to handle 3 under 2.
Right. I know. I think I just hate it. I hate that. And I hate hearing from everybody who sees me and my 4 girls out in public, like all the time. Wow, you got your hands full.
Yes.
Thank you, Captain Obvious. Fuck off. Why are you telling me this as I'm just walking past you in Target minding my own business?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
What am I supposed to say to that?
I just think in those moments, it's really those comments or questions are just not about us at all.
No, they're not. But I'm just so sick of hearing it.
Right? It's like, it's just somebody's reaction to something that feels shocking to them. They're like, whoa, I'm adjusting to this wildness in front of me. Like, and you're just going to happen to hear it because I have no filter.
Yes. Yep.
That's all it is. So it's like, there's no good answer because it's not even about our answer. Or if we could just keep walking and they would still just be like, whoa, what was that about? That's all.
Right.
It's just their stuff. Right. So it's like, it's like, for me, I'm like, who cares? Ask the question, say the things. You're going to anyway. You have no filter. It doesn't mean I have any like profound answer. Just going to keep
my answer is always, whenever someone asks me, I don't know how you do it all, I always say, I don't think about it too much because if I do, I cry. And then they laugh and I laugh and we just go about our ways. And it is funny, but it's also true. Like, I just try to not think about it too much because then like the overthinking comes in and then I start to question, oh my God, how am I doing this? Right. And then I crumble. Like,
and then you're like,
think about it too much.
Than I think? Is this worse than I think? Like, what did they see that I didn't see? Like, what am I missing?
Yes.
But none of it. It's perfect. Like, it's perfect. Everything's great. There's nothing to be alarmed about. It's just somebody having a reaction to their own thoughts and like shock factor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So 3 under 2. But I mean, when did you potty train your first one?
I have no idea.
That sounds about right.
All I know is that she was potty trained. Well, I have no idea. All I remember was that the twins were potty trained on New Year's Eve weekend because there was 3 days of that weekend. So I did the 3-day potty train method. I was like, where will we ever find 3 days? And I was like, Todd, it's New Year's Day. Let's go or something. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. It's fine. We have 3 days. So there was that method. And so that was when they were just under 2.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. When do you potty train?
Oh God. So it was different for me with each one.
3-year-old thing? What is it?
So I did 2 with my first 2, but my second one almost broke me with how horrible she was. And so with the third one, even though she was like ready when she was 2, I was like, you're staying in a diaper till you're 3. Not doing this. I'm not doing this game again. That shit almost broke me. She actually when I finally let her potty train at 3, she potty trained in like a day or 2 because she was like so ready for it. Oh, so I am definitely in the camp of waiting.
Yes. Wow.
Until like communication is better. Like, I cannot stand 2-year-olds. I think they are like, they are God's way of testing me, is what a 2-year-old is. So I would much rather put it off until they're 3.
I love that perspective because, of course, I was like the opposite. I was like, get it done, get it over with. We need a house before we have children. We need schools before we have kids. I'm like, we need to potty train before they're ready. Let's go. No. I sleep trained 2 of my kids at 11 weeks.
Amazing.
I went to the doctor at the 11-week appointment, our twin appointment. And I was like, so today? And he's like, today. I was like, praise be. And I just went home and I deposited them in their little crib. I was like, that's it. Good night. I'm like, let's move through things and get to the other side. Like 4 rough developmental children.
It was so stressful for me with my second one, potty training her. It was absolutely horrible. She didn't care when she made a mess on herself. Yeah. It didn't bother her at all. So she her lack of giving a shit made her impossible to train. Really? Until she was older and I could kind of just speak to her a little bit better and rationalize with her. Her brain needed to develop. I don't know. It was so traumatizing for me. And I kept having kids every 2 years. So when they were 1, I was pregnant with another one. And every time, and my answer never changed. So I don't know why they kept asking me this question, but every time I was pregnant with another kid, they're like, oh, you got to get, the first one potty trained before the new baby comes. Cause then you'll have 2 in diapers. I was like, great. I want 2 in diapers because then when I'm breastfeeding, I don't have to run to the potty with the other one. I want her to be on my schedule.
Yeah. Right. I mean, there really isn't any right way. Now that I think about it, if I had 3 in diapers. So that means my oldest wasn't trained until right before she was 2. Mm-hmm. And then the youngest was 20 months or something, right? Yeah. So it's you just got to trust yourself. Yeah. You just got to trust yourself as a mom. So it's if you just had an experience that you don't want to repeat, there's no reason you have to force yourself through it again, just hoping for different results. Just change the method and give yourself a better shot of having a different outcome.
Yes, exactly. And I had a totally different outcome with my third one. I mean, mind you, again, she was a totally different child. They're all completely different, but she probably could have successfully potty trained earlier, but it was no skin off my back to just keep her in diapers until she was 3. And she was done in a day or 2.
That's perfect.
And then it was just, it was just over and done with. And then my 4th one came out being my second one 2.0 with upgrades. And so I was like, we are extra waiting until 3. Oh. Definitely. Absolutely 3. You are just like Aria. And she did fine. I waited until she was 3 and, I don't remember exactly how long it took because it's also not a linear process, right? You think when you go into it the first time, it's super cute and adorable because you think you just have to go through this period. And then once they learn, you're done, you're not done. There's accidents and regressing and all sorts of things that crop up for a year. It sucks.
Yes. I will say potty training twins. And I don't know if this goes for most twins, but it was so much easier because
really?
They would be jealous when the other one got a reward for going on the potty. So they'd be like, no, I'm going first. No, I'm going first. And it was this whole, I was like, oh, you just got this. Let me know when you're all done potty training. You've totally got this. You're on your own. And
that's amazing.
One would run to the potty and then they'd be like, I'm coming too. I want to go potty. So it just actually they trained each other through the positive reinforcement and jealousy.
Nice. Yeah. That's beautiful. I love that for you.
It's a really good motherhood strategy. Just incentivize them with jealousy.
But it worked for you. You know, why not? It's already, the jealousy is already naturally there. Just let the natural jealousy do something positive for you.
That's what it did. That's right. Yes. Exactly right.
I see no harm in that.
There was no harm in it. I was like, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. So how did your oldest, how was her transition to being, it probably was pretty seamless because she was so young with the babies.
That's what people told me. Yeah. That's what people said would happen. That's not what happened. That's not how it went down. You asked this question and I literally bring to mind the moment that I broke my daughter's heart, which was when she came to the hospital and met her baby sisters. I literally have a visceral reaction in my body to watching her look over the little little clear tubs that they're in
Yeah.
and look at me and like tried. And I was like, my heart just broke. Hers broke. Mine broke. I was like, it's it. It's over. Here we go again. She needs another new mother. Like the second phase of this new mother experience. I felt absolutely devastated for her. And it was the strangest thing I didn't anticipate. I felt nervous, like, oh my goodness, she's coming to the hospital. This is like nervous and excited. I can't wait to see what she thinks. And, you know, she walks in and is like, oh my gosh. And you're so positive and excited about her, the whole thing. But I'm watching her and she's just taking it in like, this is the end of my life. Like that's how it felt. And I just literally felt like the worst mother on the planet. And I will never forget that moment. Since that moment, things have gotten slightly better.
Slightly. How old are they now?
Since that moment 10 years ago, things have gotten slightly better. So I always joke that like my oldest was like meant to be an only. Like she just loves the only. She loves the attention and she loves the mastering of a thing and she loves independence. Like she's just that kid that like wants to just like get out into the world and do all the things on her own and not have to like split time or energy among others. And so for her, like they're very close. The three of them are very close. Mm-hmm. And I've always still been able to be like, oh yeah, girlfriend was meant to be an only. Like she would really rule the roost if she could just have this place to herself. Yeah. So I think it's actually like the way my brain response to it is like, oh, this is probably some of the best lessons my daughter will have in her upbringing is how to be a sister, because navigating these relationships in a way that's probably it's not her natural inclination to navigate life is going to really serve her well in everything she does in the future. That's not an independent venture. So I saw her heart break. I have watched her navigate a system that feels probably not organic for her. She's done a very good job. They have too. They do their thing. But it's really interesting as a mom to witness that and to say, okay, these are some really incredible life lessons she's having now. And I think they're going to serve her in relationships and friendships and teams and workplace in the future. So like, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And what about the twins? Like, do you see any sort of insights similar to that of your older daughter where it's just like, I don't know. I'm not a twin mom, obviously, by the stupidity of what I'm about to ask, but do you ever see in them like, oh, I think maybe your soul would have preferred to not be tethered to this soul like so directly all the time?
These souls would like to be in my womb together forever still.
Oh, I love that.
These souls are like they're literally, I look at them as just outside of my body, but they're like really not.
Yeah.
Like it. So they are just true soul sister twins. They just are obsessed with one another. They're also obsessed with their big sister and look up to her very much. Big sister, 15 months older, but still like there is enough of a difference like in terms of just all the unique details of who they are. But yes, literally, I think Haverhill, one of my twins, said yesterday, Charleston, when was the last time I slept in my own bed? And then Charleston goes, oh, I think it was before school got out. So that was like weeks ago. They just don't even realize there's like separate bedrooms and separate lives and separate things. Yeah. Funny enough, they have very separate interests in terms of sports, which is fun. Yeah. But they always come back together. And I was the twin mom, and some twin moms will get this and some will be like, you're the worst. But I was the twin mom that really felt strongly about separating them from the beginning of school. So I wanted them in separate classrooms. I wanted them to figure out who they are in a dynamic of other kids, not their like safety net. Except for COVID, because, we had a lot of homeschooling. So I was just like, I'm not getting a third teacher's assignments, just like put them virtually together. Right. But I always kept them separate because I really wanted them to form their own selves, even if they're going to be like twins for life. Mm-hmm. And that's been an interesting thing to witness too. But yeah, they're like attached. They're obsessed with each other. Yeah. No, I actually really like that idea of yours of just like enforcing from a young age of like, yes, you are a twin. Yes, you have this beautiful, very deep, strong bond, but you are still your own person. So let's figure out who you are like as an individual. And that lesson is going to serve them for the rest of their lives. It
they
totally
won't,
does.
yeah, they won't grow up to become codependent women who need a man in their life to define who they are.
100%. I agree with that 100%. Case in point, when I went for one of their parent-teacher conferences, the description of my child, I thought she mixed up the papers and gave me someone else's kid's description of how my child has been in school.
Really?
Because she's the baby of the family. She's not even the youngest, technically. By 25 minutes, her sister is the youngest. 25 minutes. You listeners didn't hear.
Yeah, I heard that. Good
minutes.
Grief.
Right? There's a lot more pushing and clamps and a breech baby to move. So,
oh, bless you.
She's the youngest technically, but my middle twin acts like the youngest at home and loves being the baby and loves being the snuggler and all the things. And then the teacher's description, I was like, I'm sorry, you have the wrong child. Can you get me my child's description? She's like, she leads everything. She leads the class. Everyone looks up to her. She like takes charge. She's so confident and all that. I was like, okay. So I believe very strongly that allowing them from that early age to figure it out, how to be their own person and not reliant on one another's actually really served them. So much so that there's like a 180 at school versus at home. Thankfully, both sides, she's extremely well behaved. But there's this 180 of just what she chooses to express of herself. And how would that be different if I kept her with her sister and they always had each other? Would this version of her come out? I don't know if it would have.
Right. That's so fascinating.
I don't know.
Yeah, I love that. So how do you feel your postpartum journey was after the twins versus after your first? Because I mean, your poor body really didn't have any time to even get close to regulating like with hormones and stuff. And just your mental health, like with the postpartum anxiety and stuff that you were already experiencing. And then you threw your body right back into a new surge, a new level of pregnancy hormones because you have like more because of the twins.
That's right. This is a really great question. And honestly, the surprising thing is, and this is why I think parenting and motherhood and children and all of it's so unpredictable, is that it's almost like that second pregnancy reset me back to myself. There was no postpartum thoughts, fears, worries, anxiety, sadness. There was none of it. In fact, as you asked that, it reminds me of how my sister-in-law came over to meet the babies and hang, and she's like, why are you looking like and acting like it's just so easy? Like, this has got to be so much harder than you look like it is right now. And I remember, and at the time I was sitting on the couch and I was like feeding both babies. And I was just like, I know it sounds weird and probably from the outside, it doesn't like make sense, but it's totally easy. Like, this is so much easier. I don't know why it was so much. How is it easier for me to be up all night feeding two babies versus one? Like, one would roll off the breast friend and I'd have to pick her back up onto the pillow, the nursing pillow, and the other one would roll off. And I was like, that's it. You got one more chance before I'm taking the food away. I can't do this all night. Like, how was that actually easier on me with my fatigue, exhaustion, all the things? I don't know. But for whatever reason, their way, my way, my husband's and my way, like, it just clicked and it reset us back into, I think, how we wanted to be as parents. It felt good. It felt right. There was no questions about it. I was happy that that didn't repeat itself because I worried about that as well. Like, oh my gosh, if I had that with one child, two children now, like my hormones are going to be so out of whack. I'll probably have to go inpatient for a little while, little mommy tune-up in the hospital. But I didn't actually need to. And I was like, okay, this is an amazing gift and I'll take it. I'm not going to over question it.
Right. Yeah. That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. I love that you got that full circle moment in just divine timing.
Yeah. It was really nice to like have this second experience to almost like kind of correct the first fumbles of it.
Right. That's so beautiful. So how were you able to use your experience in motherhood and translate that into like your professional and career work?
How do I use motherhood in my career?
Yeah, like your journey and your experience of motherhood. How has that changed like what you do in your career?
I think the main thing that comes to mind is that becoming a mother shifts shifted, I'll speak for myself, shifted my values a bit and like accentuated them a bit. Like there was almost this more obvious experience when I was in alignment with the life I wanted versus not. When I was not living into my values, it was much easier to feel the rumble strip that I was kind of veering off the highway of how I wanted to feel in my life. It was way more obvious after becoming a mom, probably because resources are much more limited and you're tired and you're tapped and you're expending energy. So like it's easier to feel sensitive to the little like detours of your life. But I think that that's the biggest way that it became such a guide in my life. So I've always been an advocate for teaching women how to give themselves permission to live a life by design. This is like the thing I do. And I help entrepreneurs create their success by design. But what that ultimately means is living in line with who you are. What you want, what you need, what you desire, not what you doubt, not what you fear, not what other people tell you how to live your life or how to work or how to create your schedule or what balance means to them. And so it should to you too. It's completely by design. And so it was almost just more obvious the parts of my life that were in line with my design and the parts that were not feeling that way. And so I took the lessons from early parenting, which was one of the weirdest lessons, the weirdest moments, I should say, is my first daughter was at daycare. And I was in my private practice doing clinical work at the time. And then my husband was a couple blocks away at his office at that job. And I remember sitting there waiting for a patient and I was thinking, this is so unnatural. This is so weird. Like, why am I here in this one box of a room? Why is my husband like in a different box, like blocks away, but like close, but far enough that he's doing something else? And why is my baby in another box, like across town? It was the weirdest thing I can't even articulate in proper words, but the feeling in me, it was like, this is so backwards. That was the way I felt. I did not have, like, there was no like legitimizing it or like saying it's rational or not. It was just like, it felt wrong. Yep. And it was that moment of feeling. And the second moment that locked it in for me was when my husband would get home from work before me and he would put our baby, our first daughter, in one of those little like things, those carriers on his chest. And he'd bundle her up in her like teddy bear hat and her jacket. And he would wait in the driveway with her in her like snowsuit hanging off of his chest, waiting for me in the dark to get home from work. Oh. And I would pull in the driveway and it would be such a sweet moment. But behind the sweet moment was, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I'm not coming home in the dark. I'm not leaving in the dark. I'm not missing my kiddo's dinner. I'm not missing a bath time. This was just my way. And not every mom is this way. It's perfect however you feel in your heart about being a mom. It was this really strong reaction that I only fully became aware of once it was grinding against a value. And so as soon as I started to realize, nope, this is not my way, then I started to change everything. I started to decrease private practice. I started to increase my coaching clients. I started to change my schedule. I made it completely like I'm only on calls when my children are at school during the school year. Like that's it. I'm not on calls after 3:00. I'm not doing anything in the evening, but cooking and relaxing and snuggling and whatever else we do in our activities. But that to me felt like I want both. I want to have it all. I want to love my career, and I'm obsessed with my business. And I do not want that to have to, why does it have to mean a sacrifice in my other side of my life? It doesn't have to mean that if I design this right. And so I spent the next few years essentially tinkering with the design. And the parenting that I experienced, the motherhood journey that I experienced really just clarified for me which of the values I needed to lean more into, which of the values I needed to have highlighted more in my life. And then those decisions became much clearer to make. And so then here we are.
Beautiful. I love that so much. Values are so, so crucial. And most people they're not really like aware of their values. They don't really take time to like think about it. And that's when you end up in a job that you kind of sort of hate, or a life that you're just you're just going through the motions. You end up in a life where you're just going through the motions. If you aren't able to like properly identify your values and then, as you put it, design your life around your value system.
Yes. So thank you for articulating exactly what I do in my business. Like this is the exact work I do. So before I specialized in with working with entrepreneurs, I worked with women as a general happiness life coach. And the way I took them through this journey from languishing, checking the boxes, going through the motions, just surviving another Groundhog's Day, into feeling lit up and alive and full of zest and purpose and meaning, is taking what I call your North Star, your inner compass. It's your strengths, your top 5 signature strengths. It is your values, top 5 core values, and it's your desires. When you take those 3 things and you know what they are and you build a connection with each one and you understand how each value and how each strength can be realized in your life, and you pair those with what you want, not what you fear, now you get to make decisions so much easier in your life. Whether we're talking business or we're talking life, it doesn't even matter. It's the same. I take them through the same system. So this idea of like, I went through a period of survival and languishing in early motherhood. And I said, this can't be it. Like, this can't be, this is it. Like, this is what we got to. Like, I'm so grateful and I have so much here and this is an incredible life. But like, why am I not like obsessed with it? Like, why am I not lit up? Why do I feel disconnected from myself? Right. Yeah. And it was as soon as I started to do that, my own work of like, well, who am I? Like, what are, like, when we think about strengths, we think about things we're good at, but the way that we talk about strengths in positive psychology and the science of happiness is the things like the best parts of your personality, like the best parts of who you are. That's what we want to lead our lives with, is like, what lights you up and like makes you feel like you. That's where we want to lean into. And then the values piece is just like, okay, what are the things that are absolutely most important to you? Most important. That's where we make decisions from too. And if they don't align, if your decisions, your job, your relationship, your strategies, your lifestyle, your habits, your hobbies, if they're not aligning with your strengths or your values, you're going to feel that disconnect. And that's when you hit the rumble strip and you're like, oh, something's off. Something's off. But when you refine that and you just kind of tinker and like get it back on track, that's when people are like, oh, this is how it should feel.
Yes, exactly. But the problem is most people live on the rumble strip and then they look around and everyone else is on the rumble strip. So we're like, okay, this is just what adulthood feels like, I guess. And they just keep going.
Makes me so mad. It makes me so mad. It's like, what? Stop it. Like, do not follow the herd onto the rumble strip. Like, don't follow the sheep into the lion's den or the wolf's lair or whatever the hell. It's like, don't follow the herd and just look around you like, oh, well, she's settling for a mediocre existence, so I guess I will too. She's settling for
but that's just what I know, but that's just what we do. And I think our brains are wired to a certain point to do that because we're always trying to like belong. And we look around and like everyone else, we all are doing the same thing. And, you know, I talk about motherhood like this too a lot, just because every mom is stressed and burnt out does not mean that that's actually what motherhood has to look like. It's just because like we're all kind of just like stuck in the same pool and there haven't been enough of us who have gotten out of the pool and then returned for the rest of them. Returned for your sisters and showed them how to get out of the pool.
Okay, thank you. Then now I feel like a lifeguard, because that's what I feel like I'm doing. It's like this is the beauty of, or the meaning of, or the purpose of, or the incredibleness of the work that I do is this. It's like I keep going back to the pool. I'm like, who's next? Let's go. Like, let's get into life. Let's get into zest. Let's get into fun. Let's get into happy. Get out of the freaking pool. But as soon as you build even just a little teeny tiny sliver of awareness that you may be living a life in a way that is not exactly how you want, as soon as that little piece of awareness starts to, like, the light bulb goes off and you're like, oh, there's an alternative to this. Like, that's when it's amazing. That's when everything's possible. As soon as that awareness and you're like, just because she's doing it doesn't mean I have to settle for this. Whoa, that's like mind blowing. Let's go.
Yeah, it is. And it is mind blowing for them because they sometimes haven't even felt what it feels like to be in alignment with themselves. They literally have not felt a different way than just the rumble strip, than just numbing out and just going through the motions. And also, no one's ever told them there's another alternative.
Right. What we learn is just follow the path check the boxes, do what you're told that leads to success or happiness or whatever. Just follow the path. So you get spit out of college or spit out of your first job or spit out of your first relationship in your 20s. That's like significant. And you're just like, what's happening? Why am I not happy? Why didn't this work? I did all the things I was told to do. Well, my perspective on it is that you just followed the wrong roadmap. It's just not your roadmap. It's just some prescribed, conditioned roadmap. That's the only reason you landed in Arkansas and not in California. Sorry.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I love what you do. And I really love your motherhood journey. It's so unique and inspiring. I can't get over how you had postpartum anxiety and stuff with your first, and then the twins sort of like helped you reset. That is so beautiful to me.
It's the only way I could really understand it when you kind of ask that way. I'm like, well, why didn't I have that experience? Well, there's variables, right? My marriage was in a different place. I got more confidence as a mom. I had the next 2 babies in the spring, totally different season of just energy, life, light, all the things. Maybe I had more friends or support around me then because I wasn't just this like new mom in this world of the suburbs, right? Of like not knowing anyone.
You still were a new mom. Like, I feel like it took me a while to find like mom friends. And it's that connection can be very difficult for a lot of women of finding your tribe as a mom. And you were still very much in the very beginning stages of that.
Yes, that's true. Although, as I've alluded to, I do things like pretty quickly. And so when my first was born, I joined a mother's group when she was 7 days old. And
that is like very unique.
It was like her week birthday. But the funny thing was there was another mom in that group with the exact same age baby. And so we went through this journey together. It was like every baby in that group was like either just born or like a little bit older, but we still stay in touch. One's my current client, like, and that's 11 years ago. So there is something about like, that was 100% out of my comfort zone, but I just had this gut feeling of like, it's winter, it's isolating. You're really like having a hard transition, like get to the people. Get to the people, get to the support, get to the people. It was like this weird, I joined a breastfeeding like support group or something, and we would go and like nurse our babies together and then measure.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Weighed. Every city needs that.
It was really actually pretty neat. I thought at first was like, oh my gosh, I have to like nurse. And what if I do it wrong? Or what if my baby rejects me? Or it's like all these things as a mom, you're like, I don't want to do that in front of other women. But then there was all these just like support and love. And I was just like, I never want to leave. It was so nice. Right. So it's like, there's this trust yourself as new, especially at all stages of motherhood, but especially as a new mom, like you might have fears. And I had postpartum anxiety, which told me like, never leave the house, don't leave the baby, don't. There was all the don'ts. And I pushed myself through the fear and was just like, no, there's something other than that pulling at me that's telling me like, get around the people who get it. Support, like surround yourself with people who get it, because my husband's not getting it and my neighbors, I don't know. And it was like, just get to the people. And even if it was wildly uncomfortable, like I was so anxious about going. And then what if I can't soothe my baby? What if she doesn't take to me? It was all these thoughts. They're not crazy at all. All these thoughts. And I just kept being like, no, just go anyway. Like there's something there for you that's going to help you feel connected to something bigger than this moment of fear and discomfort. And like that really helped me.
Yes. And I hope everybody hears, get to the people. Get to the people. It's so important to build your village and your tribe. But it's like, there's some part of us that believes it has to like come to, like, no one's going to come knocking on your door. Like, be proactive. Your anxiety is lying to you. Do it uncomfortable. Go find your people. Yeah. They are out there and they need you just as much as you need them.
That's right. Absolutely right. And they have the same fears you do. And they have the same nervous energy that you do. And they have the same insecurities you do. And it's just, you're just not that special. I'm sorry. Like we've all got them. So it's just like, find the people. Surrender, connect, laugh about it, cry about it, but just feel like you're not alone in it. And that was a huge piece. And then the other thing that made a big difference was, of course, here I go again. And the week that we moved into this house before children, I joined like the newcomers group, and I went to a book club, and I brought this this amazing dip, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna like meet all these women and meet some friends and all the things, right? I had no reason I should be there that fast, but of course I was. But fast forward to after the babies were born, I was like, okay, it's time to hook into like now the other moms. And we hooked into other book groups and other mom groups. And then you have friends for life, and your kids get raised together and they become so close and you have memories for life. It's like, just get to the people. Just get to the people.
Yes, exactly. We weren't meant to do motherhood alone.
No. Agreed.
Well, I always end every guest episode with a round of lightning questions. So are you ready?
Do I need to put my hair back or something? I feel like I'm getting hot all of a sudden. Okay. Now I feel like I need an extra round of deodorant. All right, go ahead. I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
Okay. What did you want to be when you grew up?
A psychologist.
Awesome. So how did you get introduced to that as a child?
So we had psychology classes in 7th grade, and one of the topics of our class, our teacher was telling us about what it would look like to have a career as a psychologist. And she shared what clinical psychologists in private practice do. And the way she described it was, oh, you help people feel better and like navigate life and feel good and be happier. And I was like, okay, like I already do this for my friends in 7th grade. I was like, I can get paid for that? That's crazy. Like, sign me up. And ever since that class, I went home and I told my parents, I was like, I'm going to be a psychologist. And then I never wavered, ever. It was so bizarre. Yeah. And so here I am, a psychologist. And it's like, I've never been like, I wish I wasn't a psychologist. It was always meant for me. I happened to find it in a really weird, young way, but I just never wobbled in that. It was just like, I just knew it. So just do the things you need to do, which was a lot of things, right? It's like undergrad and then 5 years of grad school and an internship and a postdoc and all of the things. But I never regretted just following the path that felt so to the core right for me. So that's what I wanted to be when I grew up.
That is fucking beautiful and amazing. And I love that your school had a psychology class. Like, please, school districts, hear this.
It was really cool. I loved it.
Yeah, that's awesome. What is your favorite kid-free dinner? So if no picky eaters are allowed to bitch, moan, or complain, what are we having for dinner?
Well, is this food that I would just force on them? Is this food? Wait, no. Is this my
So this is either This is food that you're either forcing on your family, if you want to look at it that way, or food that you go out to get by yourself on a date night with yourself or with your husband or with your girlfriends or whatever, but like your favorite food.
Yeah. So it's always sushi.
Okay.
It's always sushi. Like, I feel like my middle name should be Sushi. Like, I feel like it's sushi. So, but because my girls, they don't eat sushi. So it would be that, but they have found their variation of like eating edamame or eating peanut chicken or eating whatever. But if I were to be like, we're eating mommy's favorite food, they're going to start gagging over some raw fish and we're having sushi tonight.
Nice.
That's going to be the answer all day long.
Nice. What is your favorite book?
Besides Forever by Judy Blume. Back in what year did I read that? 16 times. That was my favorite book as a kid. Obviously the one I remember most. Do I have a favorite book? I would say my favorite fiction was Alone by Kristen Hanna. There is something about that book, and I am not a voracious reader. It takes me forever to get through a novel. I try because I know it's like once I get into it, I can get into it, but it has to be like the craziest ratings on Amazon for me to even pretend that I'm going to do it. So my favorite novel, there was something about her book, Alone by Kristen Hanna, that was absolutely fantastic and just like hooked me in. Yeah. And then my favorite 9, like I'm looking at my bookshelf because you can imagine the books that I have up here. Ooh, I mean, I loved Untamed by Glennon Doyle. That was something that really
That is my favorite.
Me. Is it?
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Love it. Her writing style just like really, just the way she was able to convey messages just like you just hook right into it. I really loved that book too.
God, it's so beautiful. I love the way she writes. It's not in chronological order at all. It's very thematic. It has a lot of metaphors in it, but I was never like confused at all. And at the end, I could see the whole like chronological journey that she took us on, even though it wasn't in chronological order. And it takes such a very, very, very skilled author to be able to do that. Because I read another book that was like, it seemed like they were trying that sort of Glennon Doyle approach. It wasn't working. And I was very confused most of the time.
Yes. There was something very special about the way she wrote it. So yeah, that was one of my favorites too. But I'm like a self-development, obviously like junkie. So I love all of them. Like anything that you're going to read and you're just gonna be like, yes, like I can change my life. I'm like 100%. Let's support that book. I love it all. I'm always reading. But in terms of the fictions and the fun books, I'm like a little bit of a harder sell on those.
What is your guilty pleasure entertainment?
I hate that phrase because why do we have to feel guilty about any of it? So I'm like, no, there's no guilty pleasure. It's just pleasure. Like go seize your pleasure without guilt from now on. Or maybe we can call it guilt-free pleasure from now on. Okay.
There we go.
That'll be on my podcast. When I start a podcast, I'm going to have a guilt-free pleasure section. My guilty pleasure is, the thing that comes to mind that I keep trying to think of something better than that is Real Housewives. So
nice.
It's reality TV. I love it. My husband's always like, why are you stressing yourself out watching this again? Like, what are you doing? They're going to have a fight. Someone's going to be so mad. You're going to feel anxious about it because you just don't know why they have to fight. Can't we just like move on? But I'm going to feel anxious and worked up while I'm watching it. Cortisol is going to be spilling through my veins. And yet here we are, Real Housewives of wherever. I'm like, okay, I'll watch you again. So that would be the thing that is like, maybe I'd say like a stupid pleasure that I should know better than to watch because it doesn't actually bring me all the pleasure that I think it does. But I still do it.
If your belly button was an actual button, what would it do?
That is amazing. That is amazing. What
I know. It's a question that I stole from the Low Life podcast, and I just love it too much to not steal it because it's the best question.
It is hilarious, and I'm going to ask my daughters this later. It would produce sushi.
We're back on the sushi train.
All you can eat sushi boats, like just flying out of my body. Just whatever I want. Boop, there it is. It'd be like lychee martinis and sushi. That's all I want out of my belly button. Wait, so we have to tell me, what do most people producing food out of their belly button, or is there something better? What do they say?
It's so many different responses, which is why I love this question so much because some people will get like an instant like thing from their brain and they're like, I don't know if I should go with this, but, and then other people are just kind of stumped and they have to think about it for a while, but it's always a different answer. Like I don't think anyone has ever had the exact same answer. And I've asked, I don't know how many people now. But one person did say, she was like, I'd want an orgasm. That's like my first like go-to. And then later she was like, actually, I'd want an orgasm and then fries.
And I'm like, I think you just make them truffle fries.
Truffle fries.
Like, wait a second. What's going on? Because like you already have that button. It's just a little bit lower down. Like, what? You already got that button. What's happening? Maybe her first button wasn't living up to par. So she's like, I need a replacement button for my original button.
Just one that like you don't have to work so hard. There's just like, there's no buildup. There's no like anything. It's just other than just pushing it and it's done.
Yes. On-demand orgasms. I love it. Okay. Yes. So now we have lychee martinis, sushi, and orgasms. What's yours?
So mine is that it would make the world around me quiet because when I'm in my car all the time, driving my kids back and forth to dance and school and all the shit. And they are just feral cats. They fight all the time. They're so loud. I get like overstimulated with too much like noise very quickly. So I would love a button that would just like put me in an invisible bubble where I can't hear any of their bullshit. But it has like the opposite of a do not disturb function where like if it's a true emergency, not like someone needs a Band-Aid, go get your own damn Band-Aid. Okay. Like a true emergency, they can penetrate like my invisible bubble so that I'm not like a negligent mother. But anytime I want to, I can just push the button and I can't hear their shit.
That is, I think we just discovered the 3 most powerful buttons on the planet. The sushi button, the orgasm button, and the quiet button. Yes. That's it. This is perfect. We just need to stay in a cluster together and it'll be fine.
And we have all that we need.
All we need. That's amazing. That's the best question ever.
I know, because I've heard some people say like they would want to fly. And I'm like, that is a waste of a button. I would rather drive and not hear my children than be able to fly and still have to hear them all the time.
Well, I guess it depends on how far you fly.
I guess I still would just be like, I will drive. I'll get a Delta flight. I don't care. I just want to be able to push it and quiet.
Oh, that's great. What a great question. I love it.
And then finally, what's one thing in motherhood you'd like to say fuck it to?
So many things. Let's just say, where do I start? All right. 1, mom guilt. This is the biggest wasted energy I see on the planet. 2, just judging moms. Like, stop the mom judgment and stop the mom guilt. And I bet if you stop the mom judgment, some of the mom guilt would disappear organically. So, like, maybe we start with that one.
Absolutely would.
So, like, get rid of the mom judgment, get rid of the mom guilt. Like, those are the 2 things I would just want to say, fuck it. These, like, made up expectations of what good moms are supposed to be or do or look like or act like or think like or speak like drives me bonkers. So that would be just fuck it to like the conditioned beliefs around who we're supposed to be and just like let people do it their way and like just stay out of people's business and live in peace and wish everyone well.
Hell yes. 100%. 100%. Thank you so much for joining us. Please let my listeners know where they can find you if they want to connect.
Thank you for having me. This was very fun. A very, very, very fun episode. You can find me hanging out on Instagram at Dr. Wendy O'Connor. And if there's ever anything I can support your listeners with, whether it's a good postpartum story or a belly button conversation or any success support or mentorship, I love meeting everyone in my world. So come say hi, introduce yourself, and that's where I'll be.
Awesome. I will make sure to link that in the description or show notes or whatever the box is called underneath this episode so that it's easy for people to find you. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your story. I really enjoyed this hour with you.
Me too.
Are you living your one wild life to the fullest? You're not? Why the fuck not? What are you waiting for? The time to live is now, mama. Do not wait until your youngest is in college. Let your dreams hire me for an hour so I can explain how I can help you achieve any goal in your life. You've put yourself off long enough. It's time to pour into you. The link to schedule your 60-minute complimentary consultation is in my show notes. Join the community of Fuck It Moms by following me on Instagram and Facebook at Fuck It Mothering. That's fuck without the U. So FCK It Mothering. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you never miss your weekly encouragement. And please rate, review, comment, and share. All of these things help with the algorithms, so that way when other overwhelmed moms are looking for encouragement, they can find me. Every month, I give away one of my favorite books and a Starbucks card to a lucky winner. All you have to do to enter is write a review or tag me in social media when you share an episode. See you next Sunday, gorgeous.